Cafe Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from South Africa is Louise Mowbray, founder of Mowbray by Design, the future-focused leadership consultancy that specializes in the future of work and the future of leadership. She's author of Relevant, Future-Focused Leadership, and co-author of Uncertainty, Making Sense of the World for Better, Bolder Outcomes. So Louise, how can leaders become consistently relevant and make better decisions?
Hi, Tom, and what a brilliant question. I think that question really comes in two parts. What is relevant today? What is relevant tomorrow? What will be relevant in a few years' time? And the second part, of course, is decision-making. How do we make decisions when we're working in complex environments? And complexity equals uncertainty. Wherever we have complexity, we have uncertainty. And interestingly, we've discovered, and there's some wonderful research over recent years, that wherever we have uncertainty, deep uncertainty, we have an acute stress response. And that means that our ability to make decisions in the moment, macro decisions, micro decisions, becomes incredibly difficult. And I think the key here is that it's dawning on many people that not only are the decisions that we're making today the ones that we're going to have to live with in a year's time or 18 months or 2 years' time, however long the time horizon is, but also by the time we get there, the context that we're operating in will have changed.
Without a doubt.
So I think some leaders are very aware of that and others not so much. And the reason why I wrote Relevant Future-Focused Leadership is to equip leaders with the types of lenses on the world, filters and understanding of what's going on so that when they are caught in the crosshairs, or they're making those tiny or major decisions on the day, they're able to understand what's going on around them and the context that they're in, which with much more clarity and ease and with much less of an acute stress response.
And in today's world, the leadership, and I agree with you, uncertainty is a constant. But leaders need to decide. Generally, it falls to them to decide. So a non-decision is actually a decision.
Yeah, absolutely. I think very few people realize that. And we can't bypass, we can't just step out of what needs to be done.
And say, wait and see. There's no waiting and seeing many times.
Yeah, I think the pace and intensity of change is far greater than it might have been 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And this idea of being relevant, not staying relevant. Staying relevant is literally staying stuck where you were. But being relevant is being able to understand that what we're dealing with in this new era of work, and it very much feels like a new era of work, with so much change over the last 4 years, almost an annual shock to the system, with various different changes and wars and ChatGPT coming in, and of course the convergence of all sorts of technologies. We're beginning to realize that we need to be able to filter what's coming at us at an incredible pace, with more ease, and with the kinds of filters that help us to make sense of and navigate what we're dealing with so much better.
And I see too on your site, your principal focus is executive and leadership coaching, obviously for corporate leaders. Business leaders. Do you have a geographic focus? I know we're talking from South Africa. I see you're also in London.
Yes, I've lived in different countries, Tom. I've been fortunate enough to do that over the years. And my clients are all over the world. I've been lucky to be able to travel and work with them. And I primarily do three things. I coach top-end leaders one-to-one. I also work with C-suite teams, executive teams, and of course, coaching will always be a foundation for growth. And the third thing I do is I deliver keynote speaking and I lecture for some business schools and things like that. So it keeps me moving and it keeps me enlightened in terms of the different types of cultures and our approach to what's going on in the world, because it can be incredibly different depending on where you are in the world as to how we deal with the future, how we think about the future, how we actually understand the context that we're in and the nuances that are really important when it comes to people and organizations.
And that's another thing that caught my eye on your site, that you have a portion dedicated really to people and culture. And as you mentioned, you travel, you're involved. So leadership has to be, I'm saying it has to be, it should be culturally oriented. It can change a little bit depending on where you are.
Yeah, it would always change. So leadership is not something that we can pick up we can pick it up cognitively. We can have an intellectual understanding of what it means to lead in today's context. But I think we can't separate context from people.
Right.
So if we're leading a global organization, for example, we would have to adapt to the culture that we might find in Brazil or India or London or Paris or Madrid, wherever it is that we're working with people, because the nuances there dictate, frame, shape how people understand the world, how they appreciate. So yes, systems, frameworks, tools, models can be consistent, but they always need to be adapted depending on the context that we're in and the context that our customers and suppliers and other stakeholders are in.
Well, how can our listeners find you? How can this world find you?
Oh, thank you, Tom. I think my website is a great starting place, and that's mowbraybydesign.com. That's mowbraybydesign.com. I'm also on LinkedIn if you'd like to connect with me. My handle is Louise Mowbray, as it is on YouTube, Louise Mowbray. And I always believe that every decent thing in life starts with a good conversation. So reach out, send me a message, and let's talk about what you're up to and what you want to achieve. Very
good. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Tom. It was really enjoyable.
And again, it's Louise Mowbray. It's Louise, the last name Mowbray. You'll find her on LinkedIn. And on her LinkedIn profile, you also see where you can book time to talk to Louise, which seems to be a very quick link right to the woman who knows what she's saying in leadership. So Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Till the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.